Hello everybody, welcome to Nostalgia Goggles. I'm Cass, the Retro Gaming Nerd, and welcome back to the Mario's 40th anniversary. This is gonna mess up my hair. Anyways. Welcome back to the 40th anniversary of Mario, where we sit and talk about Mario games. Except for the fact that I am joking. We're not actually gonna be talking about Mario today. Instead, we're going to be talking about CDI games. And I know that you're going to be like, well, yeah, he did have a CDI game, did he? He did. But we're talking about Zelda. Because today's April 1st, and I hate myself. This was supposed to be a joke. With that being said, let's just get into it. The fuck editing, I guess. The land of Hyrule has been enjoying peace for a long time, until the wizard Guanum arrives on his flying carpet. You know, the iconic Zelda character Guanum? Yeah, that guy. Anyways, Guanum comes with ill tidings and tells the king and a bored Link, and the islands are now under Ganon's control. He turns the mountains into the faces of evil, which are supposed to be, I believe, his minions. It's a weird decision. I don't know why Ganon went through all of this, so like, not really clear. All you really need to know is that Zelda is captured, you need to free the island, and that's really the game. Zelda's known for having pretty good stories, I would argue. This is definitely not one of them, and it's kind of just, I don't know, I just feel like you could have said in a simpler way, right? Ganon took over an island, bada bing, bada boom. That's it, you know? And I don't even think you needed to capture Zelda. I feel like that's just kind of like the norm. I don't know. The story is like whatever, really. If you're playing this game, I don't think you really care. It doesn't really matter. Coradyne is a thing that isn't canon anyway, so it really doesn't matter unless Nintendo decides to like do something with it. But like, come on, you know damn well they're not. It's been like it's been decades, man. With that being said, the story is whatever. I don't know. It's whatever. You know the story, let's be honest here. I feel like at this point, me even explaining the story is so fucking stupid. Because, like, everybody knows this story, I feel. Because it's the meme, it's the YouTube poop. So, like, whatever. I put way more effort into this than I needed to, so, like, we're moving on to the gameplay. So originally when I was planning on doing this episode, it was a joke. It was kind of one of those things that I wanted to do for April Fools. I wanted to put absolutely no effort into it, but when I started playing it, I realized the joke was on me, because I just can't leave well enough alone. So with that being said, the gameplay of Link Faces of Evil is very reminiscent of the game Zelda 2. And I know that Zelda 2 is a very divisive game, but at least I can see and understand where that one's coming from, and I at least enjoyed that one. The thing about Link Faces of Evil is it takes basic gameplay mechanics and makes everything as painful as possible, or just forgoes it completely. The controls to this game are counterintuitive, even right down to its controller. Yes, there was a traditional controller, but it doesn't really feel like they intended it to play on a traditional controller. Instead, it feels like they made it to be compatible with the spoon. Either way, I didn't play it on the spoon. And if you're wondering how I played this game, mind your business. With that being said, this game is played with two buttons, one being for attack and one being used for items. But this does lead to some questionable choices. Like for instance, since there is no select button or pause button, you have to press down and B to select items. Unfortunately, the B button is also how you use doors, so the game gets confused and you'll most likely be outside of a door, which causes a frustration. I have no clue why they didn't decide to do a better way, but I mean, they didn't have as many buttons, so who knows. Faces of Evil is built on inconvenience. This game has a lot of backtracking and no direction. For example, this game asks you to go get snowballs from Nortinka to kill the Fire Daima in Crater Cove. After killing the enemies with the snowballs, you unlock Spearfish Falls. That's where you would think to go next, right? You'd think that, but no, absolutely not. You go back to Nortinka, because what else are you gonna do with all these Firestones? And this shit repeats itself throughout the game. Couple that with cryptic NPCs, no invincibility frames, constant random enemy respawns, and with limited healing items, you have the perfect storm of dog shit. Even the mechanics to make the game more manageable are a hindrance. For instance, Link has to come to a full stop and put his arm out before he's able to block, meaning you have to know where the enemy is, and even then it doesn't matter. Sometimes the hitbox just refuses to work. And last but not least, this game relies on platforming. which sucks because the backgrounds make it nearly impossible to tell where you can jump and where you can't. With that being said, that falls more into the idea of presentation, so without further ado, I said my piece with the gameplay, so let's move on to presentation. So I'm about to have a hot take here, but I don't honestly think Zelda Faces of Evil looks all that bad. With that being said, it doesn't look all that great, but I don't think it's like the worst looking game I've ever seen. Faces of Evil takes the Zelda TV show approach and kind of mixes it with the Zelda A Link to the Past kind of art style. It reminds me a lot of the animated show, but it's not really. I don't even know exactly why that comes to mind. They're very separate, but I guess it might just be because the way Link is in his voice acting, that might just be it. But it does definitely look closer to what we should have expected from Link at the time. With that being said, let's talk more about how the game looks. And it's fine. It isn't good though. I feel like the thing about this game is that it's just, I don't really know how to really describe it because it's so realistically mid, right? The backgrounds of the main levels themselves, the island of Coradine, and so on and so forth, take a painted kind of art style, and I think they're fine. I just don't know if any of it really matters at the end of the day. Where the issue of the presentation lies, in reality, of at least the backgrounds and stuff, comes from the idea that there is no real way to tell where to land with jumping as Link. This sounds like it's a gameplay thing, and I kind of started this out as being a gameplay adjacent thing, because it is, but that's really all that it comes down to. I feel like if you showed somebody the, at least, backgrounds of this, right, I can see where people would go, it's fine, even down to the sprite design for Link, and sometimes within animation how Link is, but outside of that, the game, all in all, is kind of mid. Even the little cutscenes that people goof on, it's weird, but like, they're not bad, they're not good either, they're just okay. Nothing about this game is great. Nothing about this game in presentation is truthfully terrible, except for not being able to know where to go. The music's mid, the cutscenes are mid, realistically everything is just mid. It's nothing really to write home about. The best you can get out of it is laughing at it. So I don't really know. This game has been memed on for so long that I really don't feel like I can say anything that people haven't already said about the presentation. I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the worst. That doesn't mean it's good, though. That definitely doesn't mean it's good. With me saying all this being mid, though, one of the things that I do want to talk about as a Zelda fan is that this really barely looks like a Zelda game. I think that that's kind of the biggest sin in reality. Like, there's a lot of characters where you say, oh, that's Octorok, and you go, sure, yeah, okay. But when they go, that's a Moblin, you go, no, that's just some dude. Like, I don't see how you got Moblins from this. There was a lot of creative liberties, and the game kind of does that, of where you see some characters and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, to, nope, don't do that, no. And that's kind of where the game lies, right? That's kind of what I would argue is the worst part of this. This is also how I feel that the Zelda live-action movie is going to be, so, I feel like I could be less charitable, though, with that. Who knows? That might be an out-of-pocket comment. I might actually like the movie, who knows? Here's hoping I do. With that being said, let's talk about the accessibility. Can I ask you a real question, viewer? Come here for a second. Are you really looking for this game, right? Like, are you actually trying to buy this game? And if you are, why, right? The thing is, you would think that this game, for how much it lives in infamy, it would be a reasonably priced game, right? You would think that because of how infamous this game is, right? For how bad it is, for how many people have said it's bad, for how many people have said so many things about it, you would think, right, that this game would be reasonable. And you are absolutely wrong. The most reasonable price I've seen for this game is $160. Realistically, you're going to pay $400 to almost $1,000 for this video game. Ironically enough, the $1,000 ones are sealed, which blows my mind that somebody kept this sealed. But then again, it doesn't. It really shouldn't. It does kind of make sense that somebody kept this sealed because they didn't want to play it or it didn't sell. I don't know. This game's price blows my mind. I do not 100% understand why this game's price is this way. I kind of do. It's a meme, but is it worth it? I think the biggest catch about all of this, right, in reality, is none of that really matters because Link is the one that feels like it's harder to come across. In my research for this game, within the pricing of it, it feels like Zelda Wands of Gamelon is the one that'll show up more in your journeys. But even then, that game will set you down a whole nother price range, and I'll eventually get to that game. I paused because I have no clue if that's true. I might be lying to you. There's a good chance that after this one, I'm not going to even touch that one. But with that being said, the game costs about almost $1,000. And if we're going to get right into it, is there a reasonable way to play this game? No. Right? There's not. Nintendo neglected this game. There is no other real way to play this game legally. And even illegally, it's a pain in the ass. I can't go into how to play it illegally, and I'm not even going to confirm or deny that I know how to play it illegally, because why would I do that? But with that being said, there is no real way to legally get this game. So I feel like the best way I can argue is get a CDI and hope to God that these prices drop, or you find a repo. And I don't even know if those work well because, you know, I don't understand the CDI. With that being said, this game is unreasonably priced. But hey, I don't even know if you're really seriously trying to get this game. With that being said, let's move on to the goods and the bads. The game's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's playable. It's bullshit, but it's playable. I feel like if you were a kid and you had a CDI, which already is stretching believability because I don't think the CDI sold well enough. So for me, even giving this much leeway feels wrong. But I feel like if you were a kid and you grew up with this game, you could lie to yourself and believe that it's a good game, because once you get used to the bullshit, it becomes tolerable. But that's not a glowing review, right? I don't think that something being tolerable is ever the goal, right? You don't want something to be okay. You want something to be great. And as the Zelda franchise, even around this time, was doing so much better, it's perplexing on how people looked at this and said it was okay. I am not saying that the people that worked on this game are like terrible or anything. It's just I feel like Nintendo's decision to put this on Philips and Nintendo's decision to not just go with Sony or just say no in general, which is the history of why this game is here, right? Look up Did You Know Gaming or Nintendo PlayStation, you'll get some kind of answers, but that's why this partnership happened, because Nintendo wanted a CD-based add-on to the Super Nintendo, which, surprise, surprise, didn't happen. You know this, we're in the timeline where it didn't happen, but anyways, what I'm really trying to say is that this game isn't good, but it's not, like, atrociously bad. I can see where you can get frustrated, I can see where you would need a walkthrough, but I don't think the game is, gameplay-wise, the worst thing ever. I feel like it's tolerable. With that being said, let's move on to the bad. Despite the fact that I said this game is tolerable, I feel like that it's tolerable for me. I'm at a weird position of where I grew up around NES games that were just straight up broken, so it is very hard for me to just throw my hands up and say a game is bad, because if it's playable and if there's some enjoyment, I feel like I can kind of bullshit, but I am having the hardest time coming to bat for this game, and it might just be because I'm a Zelda fan, but I feel like the best I can give this game is that it's tolerable. The worst I can give this game is that it's complete dog shit. I want to get super angry at this game, but I feel like I feel like I don't have it in me, but I want to, because this game has caused so much frustration. It is a complete nuisance to me as an experience. Going back and seeing if this game holds up was a pain to play, because this game just doesn't feel like it wants to work. It feels like it doesn't want to make sense. It feels like they went through a lot of effort to make it this way. because they could have made it a lot more straightforward. Hell, they could have made it a lot more like traditional Zelda, but instead they decided to follow the Zelda 2 formula, which I have no clue why they did this. I feel like the CDI definitely was not equipped for a game like this, and that is where the issues mainly lie. I feel like there are so many quality of life fixes of this game that would have made it better. The game itself will never be better. The idea behind this game already sucks, but a few things that could have made the game better is more health items and just a better way to collect items in general instead of having to go back to the store, which is fine. No, most of the stuff is just inconvenient, and as I've said that in the gameplay, that's where this game mostly lies. And I think that that's kind of the worst thing about this game. This game is an inconvenience after an inconvenience after an inconvenience. Nothing about this game feels fun, right? I have fun looking at it from the outside. I have fun kind of figuring it out. The fun that I get from this game immediately dies though when something stupid happens, especially since within this game you only have so many lives that you can have before you boot it out into the world map, and I hate it. Link's jumping sucks, but they ask you to do it a lot. He has a little bit of an arc to his jump, and you can definitely get used to it, but here's the issue, is that you have to get used to it. This game, all in all, just is hard for me to defend, and I really want to defend it. I really want to say that there's something good about this game. I really do, but it's hard for me to do it because I want to have empathy for the people that designed this game because they had an undertaking to take. Also, I want to like this game and I want to give it more of a benefit of the doubt because I love the Zelda franchise, but it's coming to be very hard for me to do this, especially when the pricing of this game is through the roof and it's also on a console that is ridiculous. It is very, very hard for me to recommend this game. It is very, very hard for me to even really justify the gameplay decisions that it had. It is a game that frustrated me. It's a game that pissed me off. It's a game that I feel like you'll have to hear my final thoughts. With that being said, let's move on to the final thoughts. So I normally like to have a rule, but apparently everything with this episode just has to be a little bit of a shit show. Right? Everything with this episode has to be a little bit of a shit show because normally I like to have some physical representation of the game where I throw it and go, but I don't because I did actually try. I did order a copy of, Faces of Evil, and I don't have it. So April Fools, I guess, on me once again. So just imagine that I have it. Is Faces of Evil worth playing today? Well, no. No. This was just supposed to be a quick couple second video, but I played the game and went, you know what, for the pain that I went through, I need some kind of compensation, so I need somebody to hear me scream. And I didn't even scream at this game. I didn't even. Is this game worth it? No. No. If you want a serious answer, no. I don't even know. No. No. But I can see, right, technically, I guess, where you could have fun with this game if you're mad. Because I had a little bit of fun, but, like, even the way of playing it, finding a way to play it outside of owning a CDI is hard, because there is ways that you can play this game, and even then that's difficult, right? So, I don't know, this game's dog shit. Happy April 1st. I'll see you guys next year, where I review Zelda Wands of Gamelon. What the fuck am I even doing?